Hi everyone, welcome to our Let's Play of Maze. Is that what we're doing?
No.
No. Okay.
Um, Welcome
Someone
to
who knows what we're doing.
Mazecast.
I was just going to let it be quiet for as long as we could. I was interested to see when someone would talk.
When I'm around, that's pretty quick. I don't like awful silences.
Um, well, Vincent, maybe you should introduce our new guest who has not been on Mazecast for a long time.
Well, yeah, he's not new because he was on an episode before, so everyone's familiar with Lewis Anchor Person Smith Powell.
True.
Oh, is that now when that identity's publicly known?
I should not have been sorry. You've been outed.
Sorry, I feel like it could be as sassy with it. Person Smith, if people know who I am.
So Lewis was involved with our group, well, some of our group of the main group, the core group, the real people who count, not like Sarah and Alex, but like
Oh,
basically me. Um, Back in the beginning of this Maze Casty stuff. Um, but he drifted away, presumably because everyone is insane. But he's recently come back into doing some Maze stuff and is interested in looking for real solutions. So we're trying to put a cap on the bullshit and approach Maze a little more rationally for the time being.
Uh,
some of us.
yeah, that seems like an accurate description of what I'm up to. Uh, I'm also here for the laughs, for the good time,
Yeah, we have
for
those
the
every
joy
once.
for the joyous maze.
But I guess somebody needs to like. Well, let's say first of all,
Hey, you know
there's
what?
no. There's with the last few Maze casts we've done here. There's been like an agenda and segments and planning.
You guys,
We not only don't have those things right now, we don't even have a topic of conversation planned. Although I'm going to assume that Sarah probably wants to talk about the guide.
okay, but I have to stop everyone because I'm not actually sure that this is recording.
No, it is.
It's
It says live.
live. It's live, but I don't know if it's recording.
It is.
Okay. All
No,
right. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
there's a red circle up top.
Okay.
These are classic Maze cast moments, folks.
Okay.
It
All
took
right.
every it took every fiber of my being not to just say "Are we live?" when it went live, because that's a different video chat that we do.
Are we live? Is this working? Is there an echo? Can you hear me? What did you
Yeah.
say? Stop. Everyone be quiet.
Okay.
Um.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry for the interruption.
Sarah, I mean, maybe I'm being presumptuous, but do you want to talk about the guide here?
I feel like we should. I feel like we should talk about that. That's the biggest thing that has happened recently. I feel like there's two things that have happened recently. One of them is the guide, and the other one. I mean, I guess we could talk about that video game, but we don't know anything about it really. Um, and we can also talk about the fact that we started talking to some additional people from the Abyss, which is neat.
Oh, yeah. We've got old Kontiki. I don't think he had joined the chat the last time you guys did a Maze cast,
No,
but Kontiki's in there. Couldn't make it tonight. What was it, like his birthday or something?
yeah, something inconsequential.
Something made up. Um, then some other people of unknown identities. A few lurkers in there. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's good having some fresh people in there, I guess. Um, just go ahead with your guide shit. Just say what you gotta say. I'm just
Me?
well. I'm just so exhausted with it. I don't I don't know how many times we have to go over that. The shit just got so crazy that it's easier to believe that there's some kind of miscommunication then that. I just don't even feel like it's worth talking about. I think all it ends up being is another round of point out why this shit is crazy.
Yeah, but I feel like we're in kind of a different position now because we've gotten to the end of it. And the end of it is this little picture of a bull's head, which most people seem to see pretty clearly.
No, hey, don't say that.
Well,
Which
it's the truth.
most abyss people tend to see.
What
In my
page?
experience of showing it to people outside the maze community,
Yeah,
the
so
general
everyone
reaction
turn
is not that
Who
there
have
is a
you
hidden
shown it
bull.
to? Who have you
everyone turn to page 43, the Keep Believing in Yourself page,
Okay.
and cast about on the page and look for the bull. And then ask someone to show you a version of the page where they've inked in or like faded out so that you can see the bull that is not actually visible under normal circumstances.
Okay.
Oh, good. Sarah has the thing up.
Yeah.
But we've got some visuals for this episode.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So there's
So, everybody, do you see the bull in this room? No? That's correct. You don't.
Well, part of the puzzle is knowing how to draw a bull in the room.
Yeah, it's the riddle of where can you find a bull in the room.
I mean, I know this is anticlimactic. Even I know that Sarah wants me to go on a rant and rave about it, but you just don't have the strength anymore. It's I don't know what more to say, like without just being gratuitously insulting or something. But like,
Can I give you a piece of advice, Vincent?
what's that?
Can I give you a piece of advice?
Yeah.
Keep believing in yourself.
God.
I thought you were going to advise that I be gratuitously insulting.
That is, I think, what yourself amounts to typically.
I mean, in summary, we've talked about the guide solution up to this end step before, and we all sort of talked and agreed that if this was going to not be nonsense, we said things like there needs to be something indicating that this actually is the guide, because nothing of the puzzle so far really suggests that a thing we find in here has anything to do with the guide. There's nothing more suggesting that this is anything to do with the guide. We said that it probably needs to just... Hello! Diane's here.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, welcome to Mazecast.
Actually, you should welcome you to Mazecast.
That's all
Already.
right.
In tonight's episode, we're discussing room 43.
Yeah, like, regrettably.
I like thinking that was Diane's commentary on what we're doing.
She's gone again. Oh, God. Okay.
It's still room 43, Diane.
Hello and welcome to Mazecast. I'm Diane Heaton, and today I will be telling you all about that face under the sign with the number 22 on it.
Yeah, you've been describing
First
how no
up,
one...
we have Vincent Watkins.
We're describing how no one can see a bull there unless you draw one.
Oh, I see a bull there.
See,
Yeah.
Diane sees a bull there.
Shockingly,
because you-
Diane sees it.
Diane's
that's
the
'cause you draw
skeptical
one.
person who sees it.
Well, let's try to approach this. Like I guess I need to give in and just let's actually discuss this in a way that will be meaningful to people other than us who are actually getting this information. I'm not going to go through the whole riddle of the guide or anything like that. Assume that you've
Oh, I
heard
can go
that
through
stuff.
that very quickly.
No. Yeah, there's a
The riddle
bunch
is,
of
who's the
bullshit
guide? The answer is the Minotaur.
there. Okay, so I just
You don't need anything about this image to know that.
no, and the image doesn't help, which is important, but
No,
maybe we'll do it in a minute.
I do not see this image as an important part of the riddle of the guide.
Which is the odd thing. So to back up a little, so
I don't think that's odd.
well, I don't even remember what I was referring to when I said something was odd, but so the final
The
step.
fact that I think there's a bullhead there.
All right, just shut the.
Hey, who's the moderator here?
I don't know.
I'm genuinely asking. I just joined.
We don't
I
know
think
who the
Mazecast-
moderator is. We sat around in silence for a lot of this podcast.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I'm here so that now we have the opposite of that.
I pretended it was going to be a let's.
We're talking over each other.
At first, I pretended we were going to do a let's play
Oh, we should.
with like boss strategies and stuff.
Yeah, can whoever's screen sharing this picture switch to screen sharing Barry's maze interactive thing?
Why?
So we can let's play it.
Because it's a fun thing to play through.
Okay.
Lewis could
Can we
see
have
if he
this
can do a speed
conversation
run.
first?
Oh,
Kind of
yeah,
surprising
sorry.
that-
I guess I kind of interrupted things.
It's surprising that Barry didn't find the bowl when he was redrawing the room. That's odd. Recreating every beat.
Actually, yeah, that does lower my confidence in the bull image a bit.
Okay.
Also, wait, Diane, does just looking at this picture lower your confidence in the bull image at all? Because that's what does it for me.
No. Looking at the image is what makes me think that maybe there is a bull there because I can't
Really?
see one.
This is like a Rorschach test,
Yeah.
but where you're on like hooked on bull.
I don't think that's how the Rorschach test works. I think when you're doing the Rorschach test, you see images of minotaurs, that doesn't mean you're failing the test.
All right, Sarah, just real quick, can you do a Google image search for bull, and then maybe do it side by side with this picture so that we can see what everybody thinks they're viewing?
Okay.
I mean, go over which parts of this I see the bullhead in.
No.
Okay, because
It's better if
I could go over that. It's a little tricky to explain verbally.
I should note that the bullhead that Diane sees is slightly different from the bullhead that White Raven sees.
Actually, similar. I think it's
Well,
mostly
how is yours
that
different?
he drew it badly.
Oh, really? You think so?
Okay, but look.
Okay. Yes.
We did a previous show. We went through all the riddle, the guide stuff, yada, yada, yada. The missing part was this bullhead that allegedly exists. And then there's just the confirmation that means that the guide's the Minotaur. Now, one of the clear problems here, at least for some people, is that there does not seem to be an actual bullhead in there. It just seems that White Raven is drawing it on there. But other people are seeing it, okay? So, I mean, people on both sides, it seems ridiculous to them that the other side sees it differently. And
Right.
so I acknowledge that. I don't want to bias the presentation of this.
I don't see it as that ridiculous.
Sarah,
What's
can you
that?
share one? Can you
I
share
don't
one
see
of
it as that ridiculous. You just haven't been able to see the other face in this two-face optical illusion thing.
That's because you're face blind.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm able to see both the faces.
But, I mean, from my perspective, not only do I not really think it's a good image of a bull, but like the shape of a bull is not there. It has to be drawn on, at least as White Raven has presented it. I'm still not totally sure.
Oh, no, I see the shape of the bullhead in there.
It does not have to be drawn on. Like the outlines are
Like I see it
clearly
with
there.
negative space around it as Manson's
Hang on.
drawn it.
Right.
Can I just say one thing that's really important?
Okay.
No.
Unrelated to the bullhead. Sarah, why do you have 90
then
Facebook
yes.
notifications and 708 unread emails?
Why can you see that?
Oh, whoa.
Because you're screen sharing your whole thing.
Oh, fuck. How do I?
I mean, it's not showing what they are. Like,
No, but it's like showing my dirty laundry.
no, I mean, it's just showing that you need to like mark as read.
I'm showing my hotel room.
Okay.
Make it its own window and then screen share that window.
Yeah.
Right. Well, put aside the image of the bull which I guess...
Yeah, you and I disagree about the image of the bull, but we both agree that White Raven's supposed riddle of the guide thing is terrible.
Well, let's say this, and I think everyone agrees on this, that the riddle, at least as... riddle, in quotation marks, at least as it's been presented, doesn't quite make sense. For one, there's still no indication that the guide is in any way involved with this. The closest it comes is, like, if you buy the three things part of it, and the guide says they should call me Cerberus in the introduction.
Cerebus.
But that is pretty tangential to say that this definitively proves that the Minotaur is the guide.
Yeah, there are many links in that chain that I don't think hold up.
Oh my God.
So White Raven says this was confirmed by Mazin, although as I sort of suggested before the confirmation was explicated, the confirmation was not as clear as you might have hoped if you're trying
Mazin does not appear to have said that this whole riddle of the guide thing of White Ravens is right.
Now, this is out of character for Mazin, correct? He normally gives very decisive answers to people's questions about confirmation.
Well, it's actually hard to say whether that's the case or not, because we have remarkably few examples of things Mazin has actually said. The one example I know of where we actually have an attested quote, which is from Dave Gentile, was actually very clear and explicit.
Yeah, but
it could be that his communications with White Raven have been similarly clear, but because those have never been relayed to us, we have no way of knowing.
In fairness, though, White Raven is not asking whether, like, there's like subtle biblical code stuff being hidden, right? Like,
well, he might have. We do not know the entire extent of what White Raven has asked him.
My point is, the exchange that we saw with Gentile was specifically about the Herod theory.
Was it? I thought it was about something in room 1.
Oh, we've seen responses on 3 things from Mazin, I believe, from Gentile.
Yeah.
One was in regard to room 1, where Manson's response was something like, you know about all the words appearing in the text, right? But he didn't specifically come out and say that Gentile was wrong about everything else, I don't think, in that one.
Yeah, was that about his stare decisis theory?
Oh man, that's too deep to get into.
Yeah, that's
like
episode.
5 episodes in itself, just explaining how he got to that one. And then there was an email in regard to room 2, I remember, where Gentile was asking about whether room 2 was a reference to the Second Amendment. And Mazin actually very clearly responded to that, saying there were no references to the Second Amendment. And
right.
Yeah. Actually, that one, I mean...
Wait, it wasn't even a bear room?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't totally frivolous. I mean, it made me laugh, the idea of it, because it seemed a little silly. But it was better than a lot of suggestions from anyone on the Abyss. I mean, you've got a bear in there.
That's not a high bar.
They talk about right. There are weapons in there.
Okay, yeah, I see where you got that. Then.
Yeah, there was he was getting right to bear arms stuff in there. And it's room number 2, you know?
Yeah.
But Mazin told clearly, no Second Amendment stuff. He asked him about the Herod stuff and asked whether there was an anti-gay slur encoded within Maze.
How depressing is this? That these are the questions that were asked.
I think it's fine. Right?
It's a little depressing.
It's depressing that these were the only times that Mazin has chosen to respond to the community.
Well, right.
Well,
but I think if he were less reclusive in general,
that would be fine.
It would be great that he respond to Gentile this way.
It does seem like Manson's not unwilling to correspond with people by email. So it does make it a little strange why only these unrecorded phone conversations with White Raven.
Yeah,
It seems like it'd be easier for everyone and preferable to
Has-
everyone if the questions were just emailed and then responded to with email.
well, White Raven has been claiming that Manson wants it this way, right?
Yeah. It's just
Which
curious is all.
that could be due to some miscommunication itself.
Okay,
Could
can
be
we get
that
back?
White Raven got the impression that Manson prefers to communicate by phone and then has just not been following up in asking him to revisit that.
Okay, can we get back to the guide?
Do we have to?
Oh, the Minotaur.
We have to. I think we have to address this.
Okay. What more is there to say?
Okay.
Oh, well, let me say this again, because
Okay.
I think I started to say it and it wasn't clear. I think everyone actually in agreement that the puzzle as presented does not clearly identify this as identifying the guide?
Yeah.
I mean, do you agree with that, Sarah?
Yeah.
You sound so
I mean-
reluctant.
I think we all would have liked it if this puzzle did that.
But
In fact,
okay.
I asked
but-
several people to explain the foil past me, and no one would. They just kept saying it was ridiculous and made no sense.
Well, it's not an easy thing to summarize. I tried to give a summary of it.
Lewis, I did summarize it, you son of a bitch.
Summarize it, there's a lot
Maybe
of
he just wasn't able to read your summary.
No. The summary was like, there's a lot of rooms with sort of 3 related things in it, but there's also other
That's
rooms
an important part.
That's the solution.
Yes, that
No,
is
no,
key
no.
to the solution, so to speak.
That was not like a parody of the solution, Lewis. That was the real solution.
Yeah,
But,
that was
like-
NPOV.
Sorry, let me be clear. Nobody told me which set of rooms it was or why it was that set of rooms.
Well,
Because
that's pretty.
yeah.
I mean, I
I
was.
haven't been following that myself.
But I was trying to present it in the best possible light. If you try to get into the nitty-gritty of which rooms count and which ones don't, I think it actually takes away from the solution. Like, if you just accept the general concept that there are a lot of triple
3-ish
type
rooms.
things around entrances to the trap or rooms bordering the trap, just accept that. That's putting the solution in the best possible light.
Vince, when did I first
Yeah.
send you? When did I first send you that clip from the movie Pi? If you start looking for the number 6, you'll see the number 6 everywhere. It was definitely about maze and how you guys get this way about maze, but it was like 2 years ago.
What do you mean we get this way?
Oh, you get this way. You got this way before your TLDR epiphany.
Lewis, you try to fit every room into the mold of messages to believe in yourself.
That is not true. I have one room that I do that to.
Oh my God.
I have a different approach to reading this book. I try and read the book as though it was written by someone who was putting puzzles in it that you could solve.
See, I think
Solvable.
that's fundamentally flawed.
Okay, but can I just say something here? So
No.
Yes.
I'm going to anyway. I'm going to say
Wait, we need to wait for Lewis's vote. We're tied at the moment. Lewis, can you say something?
I don't
Can you
care.
break this deadlock?
I'm in charge of the podcast.
Is Sarah gonna vote?
No,
Let's start with a
I
roll
don't need
call
to vote.
vote.
I'm just going to talk.
she can't vote because she has an interest in the outcome.
That's true.
So do you.
No, I'm impartial.
Okay,
Yeah, and I don't care about anything.
I believe that.
That's what makes me so cool.
Sarah,
Okay.
You think you're cool, but look at Sarah's jean jacket.
I know, right?
oh my God, Sarah! Did you know that you're Canadian and you're wearing a jean jacket?
Which is probably aware.
What?
Wait.
Now I'm confused. Okay, I would really like to say this. So this is one of the few things that we have that is confirmed by White Raven. I don't feel like we have any reason to disbelieve that this is something he talked to Manson about. This is confirmed. Manson didn't really think anyone would solve this. He put this in.
I've been calling it an Easter egg.
He put this in for his own amusement. Yeah, it's like an Easter egg. I don't think he.
There was no real religious content in the book, though.
What?
In response to Gentile, he sort of said that there wasn't any religious content, so I don't think it's an Easter egg.
Well,
It's a
Okay, it's a holiday egg.
holiday egg.
There we go.
Okay.
A pastel
So-
celebratory.
Like, I feel like this is one of the things that, I mean, there's every reason to believe that this is a real thing. You may not like it, but that doesn't mean it's not a real thing that's in there. So it just seems like kind of a waste of energy trying to not see this bull face that is so obviously there.
Well, we don't really know what
doesn't take
Manson was
energy to not-
talking about specifically there. It seems to have been in response to getting emailed a set of 3 images with... I'm not even sure if that was with additional commentary from White Raven at the time. His message
Okay.
about what exactly was said is really weird.
right.
I'm
I mean,
sorry,
But
it doesn't take extra energy. Hang on. It doesn't take extra energy to not see it. It takes energy to see it because you have to do the thing where you gray out around the thing that you're claiming is a bullfish.
try just
You need to see
crossing
a
your
bull
eyes,
face
but in
there.
reverse.
None of you saw a bullface there until White Raven was like, "Hey, look, here's a bullface. I'll circle it."
But then,
Right, but once it was pointed out to me,
Yeah.
I did see it pretty clearly. It was like seeing one of those
yeah,
double image
Like a
illusion
shape in a
things.
cloud. It was like when you look up at a cloud and somebody says it looks like a bunny rabbit, and you're like, "Hey, it does kind of look like a bunny rabbit."
It was like when you're looking at a picture of 2 vases and somebody says, hey, there's a face in between them.
It is definitely
But-
not that.
but
No, it is exactly that.
it's not like some of these solutions where it's pointed out and you're still like, oh, really? It was pointed out. I was like, oh,
Well, it
there
clearly
is.
is
I
for
can't
some
believe I didn't
people.
see that
That's-
before. I really did feel that way about this one, whereas
But you're describing Vincent and I as putting effort into not seeing it, as though we're like, it's
yeah, but it's been
there.
pointed out to you, like it's obviously there, and that face is a weird looking face. Obviously, it's weird looking for some reason.
Every face in the fucking book is weird looking.
Yeah, but they look like
Really?
faces. They have eyes. They have mouths.
Hang on. Okay, you're gonna tell me the faces on page 36 aren't weird looking.
What's wrong with those faces?
Well, they're masks. They're weird looking masks.
Yeah,
I'm
but
looking for other faces.
they look like comedy and tragedy, which
Are
is
the
what they
faces on
are.
Are the faces on page 32 normal?
32.
Yeah, like the devil up above 6.
He looks like a blurry devil. The other guy looks like a Greek guy,
Right.
which is what they
What
are.
What about the face?
I
What
don't
about the
understand
faces
the
in
contrast.
24?
What is the contrast you're drawing to the face on page 43?
43, because it looks like it's weird. It's weirdly drawn, like it has weird cheekbones. It has no ears. It's a funny shape. It has no eyes, just these strange shaped shadows.
Does the devil on 32 have ears?
The devil on 32
Devil.
doesn't look. It's just kind of blurry. It doesn't. There's nothing strange looking about it.
Okay, but you can't count no ears on 43 as mattering. No ears doesn't matter on
I mean,
Well, maybe that's true. Still,
Yeah.
so maybe I should go over
You know who else doesn't
what
have eyes?
what I think Manson has actually confirmed.
okay, but
Hang
also
on.
okay,
Statue on 27 has no eyes.
okay, but this is a silly thing to be talking about.
hey, wait a minute. We got some echo. I just muted myself, and it was still going on.
Okay. I don't hear any echo.
Me neither.
Lewis was echoing.
Actually,
Lewis, say something.
Sorry, let's go. Okay, go ahead. What did you say you should explain, Diane?
Like, what it is that I think Manson means he has intended with this bull image thing,
Okay.
which is to say, which I I think I see this very differently than White Raven. What I think happened here is that Manson made some riddle of the guide stuff. It's the obvious stuff in the text that kind of suggests the Minotaur. There's some weird characterization stuff going on there, but I think it's pretty clear. Then, in addition to that, Manson thought, hey, you know, it'd be fun. I've got this guy who's the Minotaur. I'll put a secret bullhead image in this one room, just as a little private joke. And he did that. I don't think that this image being found is an actual riddle of the guide thing. I don't think it's any part of the contest stuff. I don't think it fits into a path of kind of 3-like rooms. I don't think it's even intended to be. I don't think it's even intended to be clear on its own that it's related to the guide's identity. I think he figured that would just be apparent if you've already figured out that the guide is the Minotaur.
What are there 3 of in this room?
I don't know.
Because there are 2 people on either side of the face in the middle.
3 letters in the word peak, assuming you don't count E twice.
Really? Is that the sort of...
Probably not. I don't know what there's 3 of in any room.
Okay.
I don't believe in the
number.
number.
Mazecast where we can't count.
Well, I mean, here's the problem with the confirmation from Manson, though. There are numerous problems, I guess, with a confirmation that we don't actually get to hear exactly. We don't know exactly what was said.
I think that my interpretation there is perfectly consistent with what White Raven has claimed the communication was.
Well, I'm not sure about that, because White Raven says that Manson thought it would be interesting to include a picture of the guide to settle definitively who the guide was, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't really square with the idea that there's just a picture of a bull without any connection or any puzzle telling you that that's the guide.
I mean, it works more as confirmation if you've already got the solution to the actual clues in the text.
Which everyone does.
If you read through those and you think, oh, okay, so the Minotaur fits this.
Yeah.
And then later you see, hey, there's this kind of hidden image of a bullhead here.
Well, I understand what
maybe
you're
that's
saying.
related to this Minotaur thing.
I understand what you mean.
Maybe I was on the right track there.
I'm just saying that doesn't really square with the idea that he put in a picture of the Minotaur to settle the dispute. Like, that seems like the weakest piece of evidence to suggest the guide is the Minotaur.
Did he say he put it there?
Well, it would be a weaker piece of evidence on its own than, like, the textual clues on their own.
Yes.
I think its value is just in an independent confirmation, except it's not good as a confirmation because there's nothing in the room to suggest that it's particularly guide related.
Right. I mean,
I think we've talked about if you find a picture of a crocodile hidden in room 12, that doesn't tell you, oh, the guide must be the crocodile.
Right. So the other thing is that White Raven apparently sent those 3 pictures to Manson, and Manson replied.
And we don't know exactly what 3 images.
No, he described them, but we don't know exactly what they were. Manson said that he had pretty much solved the puzzle, so we don't know what that means exactly. If some of the pictures were extraneous, or what the missing links are, but
we know it's not completely correct. Otherwise, he wouldn't say pretty much. Although that's a paraphrase too.
It's also not clear because we don't know that he would ever confirm a solution to a puzzle with anything stronger than pretty much correct, because he does seem like...
Right. We don't know how correct something has to be pretty much. And then, again, there are all these problems just with a confirmation that you're not hearing. We don't know exactly what was said. We don't know exactly what was meant. Put that aside and even just assume that it all happened as White Raven is explaining. What Manson confirmed, I guess, is that there is some puzzle that was sort of solved but not completely correct. And he acknowledges that that's the face of the guide is in rooms 38 and or 43, presumably in 43. But to me, that doesn't do
That
much
seems more likely, yeah.
to
He sent
bolster
it.
this bullhead image.
Ah,
As I said before, this confirmation came out. Again, it was more likely that there was some kind of misunderstanding than that this was intended, and even suggested that perhaps it's just that there's some puzzle telling you that the face in 43 is the guide's face, and we're just supposed to pay attention to the fact that it's this guy with horns, which combined with other clues in the text helps point you towards the Minotaur. Hey, who
it's
just
Alex.
joined?
Alex is here.
Alex.
Hey,
Hey, Alex. Welcome to Mazecast.
Okay. So are we done? Are we done complaining about the riddle? The whatever.
No, almost.
No.
And the thing is, that completely fits with the guide as he's presented in the text as someone that the visitors didn't notice was the Minotaur, as someone who says that the stories about him have been exaggerated. The idea that he is a less bovine-looking Minotaur than is typically depicted in myths, but that he's a scary-looking dude with horns is completely consistent with that. And I again, this is what I was saying was perhaps what was intended before we heard the confirmation. Then we hear what exactly the confirmation was, and it lines up completely with that. I'm not saying it contradicts the hidden bull at all, because it doesn't, but it doesn't clarify the issue either. All it's saying is that the face of the guide is in 43, which, without making reference to a hidden bull being there, would suggest that the face that you see in 43 is the guide. So
And I should clarify here that when I'm saying that, my interpretation of how 43 works is consistent with what we've heard from White Raven. I don't mean to suggest it's the only thing that's consistent with it. White Raven's information is very sketchy and it could work out.
Okay. So
but
that
don't
wraps
you
up.
think at some point in that conversation the name Minotaur was mentioned and confirmed?
Oh, yeah.
No.
I find it hard to believe that Minotaur wasn't confirmed and all that.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even though White Raven hasn't explicitly claimed that, it probably happened.
I have no views about how that conversation went. They might speak in riddles for all I know.
That's fair.
Yeah. It would be really nice if White Raven could ever tell us.
Oh, Alex disappeared again.
So are we done with the White Raven portion of the podcast?
There's going to be more to this episode?
Yeah.
Well, you guys, like,
I thought we were about done.
I'm expecting at least like 30 more minutes solid of Vincent talking, because we don't get him very often. So we really need to get like all of Vincent's input right now.
Vincent, top 10 most hated members of the Maze community. Go.
Oh, that's interesting.
Me!
I'd have
Clearly
to.
me!
No. I'd have to pull up. No, I don't really want to do that. It's going to alienate too many people. But I think
I am the single most biggest asshole in the Maze community, sending Manson himself troll letters about White Raven. Come on, there's no...
I don't think you know what
Yeah,
trolling means.
I only send him Christmas cards.
I think you're trying to cover your ass a little bit by calling that a troll letter.
What would you call it?
I mean, I have to ask, was it sent, did you like cut letters out of magazines when you sent it, or was it like written on like a computer?
What, mine? It was written in the Mazecast font.
It was actually beautiful.
Oh, nice.
Like, you sent us a picture of the envelope, and it was beautiful. It had like the umbrella on it and stuff. It was
No. It had the phone from room 20.
Oh, the phone. That's right. Yeah. The phone.
Because there was communication with Manson, right? So
Right.
I wanted to make it.
Right. Like, it was actually really
It's classy.
beautiful thing.
I like that.
Wow.
It's too bad because the content was like so hateful and untrusting.
Yeah, Manson still just forwarded it right on to White Raven. Such a dagger in the back.
Yeah, I felt that way.
I mean, in fairness,
It was my own goddamn fault, though. I mean,
having seen the text letter, I understand why he might have forwarded it to White Raven.
Okay. Manson, if you're listening to this, We're prepared to forgive you.
Well, Alex should speak to that. I mean, he's the one who needs to.
Okay, sorry, I'm prepared to forgive you,
Okay.
Manson.
Can I ask a question?
Vote, everyone. I vote yes.
No.
It's about room 23.
Oh, yes.
Sarah, your vote?
Oh, what are we voting on?
Whether Lewis can ask a
ask
question.
Oh, yes, sure, he can ask a question.
Okay. I let you talk earlier.
You did.
Alex, the vote's essentially decided, but in fairness, you should be able to cast your vote as well.
What are we voting on?
Whether Lewis
Whether
can
Lewis
ask a
can
question.
ask about room 23.
What's 23? What about it?
Well, we don't
know yet.
until
He
we
can't
vote.
tell us until...
Oh,
No, you're all talking at the same time. I can't hear you.
Just vote. Yes or
So
no.
what we're-
Okay, yes. I vote yes.
okay.
Go ahead, Lewis.
All right, Lewis, what's your question about
Okay, my
room
question
23?
is, since my interest in Maze is to discover more F-hour trees and Seabag OKs and whatever the other one is, no escape aid or whatever. Has anyone made any progress on what seems to be like an obvious word puzzle on the scroll, or some like obviously good Rebus material with the coat rack that's wearing shoes and gloves? There's just a set of commandments sitting there. Like, this seems like a room rich for possible anagram Rebus cluing.
I think that one was I would say that it's equal to F-hour tree, the whole O's/0 thing. I don't know if somebody else wants to expand on it, but I think that's just as good as the F-hour tree.
And he confirmed that as well to Owen Hammer,
Did
right?
he?
Or no, to somebody.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was confirmed?
In unseen correspondence, but it seems likely to be correct. The scroll in 23, all three lines there are referring to words or phrases that, what do I want to say, conspicuously feature the letter O. That makes it sound worse than it is. But, like, everything right is supposed to suggest okay. Nothing
Right.
is supposed to suggest a 0, an O.
Mm-hmm.
And the time is supposed to suggest o'clock.
O'clock.
This is the room where you get the O to spell shoulder.
I think.
Or shoulder in the middle of the path.
Okay.
So
So what about the commandments and the shoe tree the tree the coat rack that's wearing gloves and shoes?
I don't think
Yeah.
much has been made of the coat rack. The thing about the commandments, you look at the commandments and you look at the window panes.
To 19.
The busted pane corresponds to, if you think of the panes as corresponding to the tablet, the broken pane corresponds to 8, which is the correct door in the room, which...
That's pretty good, right?
It
What
seems
was the
like...
eighth commandment again? Was there any relation to the 8th commandment?
No.
It's just, yeah, it's this actually, we were looking
That's-
today and trying to find a door indicator that was pretty solid, that pointed to a door rather than being odd one out or odd one, whatever.
So is it...
This is like one of them, I would say.
I mean, it seems like it, right? Like,
It's pretty good.
to me, that seems like the kind of puzzle you would see in a modern room escape game.
Yeah.
Like, looking for correspondences between, sets of figures like that. But the problem is every other room where we have like the whole room worked out, which I guess is like one of them.
Room number 3.
Or like
Room
2 of
one.
them. Like
Room
where you
one.
have a clue, you have clues pointing to all the doors except the correct one.
Yeah.
What about this room would tell us that we should trust this clue pointing to 8?
Right.
However, so in the text, we get that they're going to go to the room where it's raining, which may suggest 28. So that's a red herring for 28.
Mm-hmm. And it says they went to the room they'd been looking for so long, which suggests 45, which is incorrect.
Right. And it says that they look out over look at the 2 trees out there, which suggests they're looking through the window pane.
Yeah, which it
So there's,
doesn't guess they went through that door, but they're certainly talking about it.
sorry?
Which
Well, right,
which
so
doesn't
all
suggest
three of
they
the
went
other
through
doors
the
are
door, but
indicated.
it's at least referring to it.
So the other 3 doors are indicated in the text.
Right.
So you have an odd one in the text, and then a regular cluing in the room.
It's still weird, though.
Well, okay, but there's also, I think Alex was the one who saw the plus sign in the rack and the little chair rail there. There's like a plus sign, and there's the 4 slats of the door, 4 plus 4.
Sorry, what?
Okay, so my original, I don't even really believe this anymore, but it's just something I came up with. If you look at the slats in the door, you can see 4, like sort of 4 digits in each one. I can't point it. Anyway, you can see it there. There's basically like 4 lines in each of the door, and then there's a plus. I think it's stupid.
I mean,
There's more than 2 doors that have the 4 slats, so the total would be 12, not 8.
Excuse me.
I think it's dumb, but it's yeah, it's still there.
Well, if there's like more than a couple things that point to 8, it's almost like you need several different things that are pointing to the same door, and that gives you a good indication that you should trust it.
no, see, this is okay. This is where I'm going to have to hop off the Sarah boat.
That's okay.
I assume
And
you have a boat, Sarah, that I'm getting off of here.
Okay.
So, like, this is where the fact that you know that 8 is the right door is, like, clouding the puzzle solving.
Yeah, it's reverse engineering. Totally.
Yeah, because if you were in the room and you saw the tablet correspondence to the 19 shattered pane,
Right.
right? That, I think, you might treat as like a clue of some sort, even if you didn't already know that 8 was the right door,
Right.
because you're looking around for things that can indicate the right door. Then, if you knew that you were looking for ways to make 8, you start noticing that there's like sets of 4, and then a thing that looks like a plus, and you just add them together. But like, the plus is kind of down at the bottom, so why isn't it 2 plus 2? Well, because there's not a 4 in the room. So that's why it's not.
I'm not condoning that clue whatsoever. I don't think that
Right.
I don't think that that's a plus sign at all.
Okay,
Right,
I didn't want to saddle Alex with that, you know.
No, I did come up with that. You are right, but now I don't like it anymore. I think it's stupid.
But I'm just
I mean, the
saying
doors
it's not-
themselves look like a number 1, but like you wouldn't think it's a 1 plus 1. It's like it only works as a clue if you reverse engineer it from knowing that you're trying to build 8 out of the room.
Did you guys explain what Lewis's rules were at the beginning of this episode in terms of the reasonable reader? Did you guys explain that?
No, we didn't. We only just started talking about this because we spent most of the time so far complaining about the riddle of the guide or whatever.
Well, Lewis, I think you should describe, because I think it's a good baseline for Maze if you explain your theory of the reasonable reader and how to interpret clues as a reasonable reader rather than one of us.
The approach is to pretend that you're not hip deep in like mazomancy, I guess, is the main trick. Like
not reverse engineering, right? Like that was the main facets of it.
Well, I mean, it's a big part of it. Like when I first worked through Maze, started to work through Maze, I solved room 1 because room 1 is solvable. You can figure out what room to go to next. It's like there's a puzzle in the text, straightforward, corresponds to some stuff in the picture. The word story occurs straightforwardly in the text. Spoiler warning. Do we do spoiler warnings on this?
No.
And then also in the text, the word late occurs, which is an anagram of tail, and the word nary occurs, which is the one that you really notice at first, because nary is a weird word. And you're like, hey, that's an anagram of yarn. And so you're like, oh, there's anagrams of every single one of the doors except for Fable. 26. And so you're like, I think I've got the hang of how to do any of these puzzles. And then you go to room 26. And you're like, oh, this whole book is bullshit because I don't know what to do next because it doesn't make any sense. That at least was my experience. But you look around 26 for clues, and I was like, salt and A. Maybe it's like assault. But assault doesn't help me pick a door. Right? And it turns out, as one later learns when one becomes hip deep in the maze community, that it's not assault, it's salt A, and then you reverse it to Atlas. So,
I agree.
doesn't matter.
26 is definitely a shitty room. Maybe he should have moved on to room 3 or something before delving into the devils.
I don't think it's a shitty room. I'm not sure it's a shitty room. I don't know. Here's what I think. I think that the first time I read through it, if I'm being a careful reader, and all I know is what I've read from page 1, then I look at the text, and the text starts with the guest remarking that there's not enough light in here, which draws my attention to the bottom of the page rather than the top, which is well lit. And they say it's not very tidy either. And the only thing out of place in the bottom half of the page is the bell laying on the floor. Everything else is a chair that belongs in the audience part or a person sitting in it. But as everyone who has looked at this room probably notices, the bell does not tell you what room to read through, or at least it doesn't do it in an obvious manner.
Well, this is pointing at 30.
What?
Ooh, an echo. It's pointing at 30.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's pointing at like the first row.
It's sort of pointing at 30.
Well, it's not pointing at 1.
It doesn't count for the horseshoes and hand grenades. This is why, if I could ask Christopher Manson a question, like directly, I don't want to put this in 3 layers of miscommunication. But if I could like ask him a question straightforwardly, I'd want to know, like, does every room have like a puzzle that can in principle be solved, so that someone could, in principle, make it through the shortest path on their first way through by solving riddles rather than guessing luck? Like, is there a way to know on your first time through that you should go through 30 instead of 36 or 38? Because I don't see one. Here's how you could do it. If you wanted to, like with the text that's here, you hide a 6 and an 8. Oh, you've hidden the image.
Sorry.
Okay. You hide a 6 and an 8 somewhere up on the stage so that an astute reader notices that there's sort of a 0 on the bottom, and then there's a 6 and an 8 up there, and the clue in the text points them to the 0 on the ground instead of the 6 and the 8 up on the stage. And that tells them that they want room 30 instead of room 36 or room 38. That would be maybe an easier puzzle than Manson would want to go for, but it would be like a clear solvable puzzle because you find an indicator for each of the doors other than the one you can automatically rule out as number 1 in the room, and something in the text namely that the guide is trying to get them not to pay attention to the bell. There's a way that you know that the bell is what's telling you which way to go. That would be like a clear, distinctive puzzle that if I saw all those things in the room, I'd be like, I'm confident that 30 is the way to go. But we don't have that. So I'm unsatisfied with this group.
Sarah, if you click on the icon for your own user, it'll go to your screen so we can see the picture.
Oh, I am.
Oh, there we go. Oh, no, I wasn't sure before. Now it is.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I did before. Yeah, I see it now.
Maybe you had something else selected on your own. But I mean, we've talked about this before, right? Like if all the rooms were clearly solvable like that, would we still be talking about it? Would we still care?
Well, no, there's the other part too. Like if you don't even look at the devils, if you just look at the arrows, like the one devil's tail and the other one's trident, they're pointing. So you came from 1, but the devils are pointing to 36 and 38. So even if you don't consider the bell or the text, and I know this is sort of a shitty way to look at it, but that was, like as a kid, when I was a kid first trying to get through this, my first instinct was to say, well, the devils are pointing, I've already been to 1, so I'm not going to go through 1 again, and I've got these other 2 devils pointing to another 2 doors, so maybe it's 30. I mean, even then, I didn't think that was conclusive, but it was definitely one of my first impressions as a reasonable reader in my youth, before I met you nut bars and whatnot.
Okay, hey,
But
Vincent, are you still?
Yeah, I'm with
sorry?
you.
But like, if you look at the devil that's popping out of the first trapdoor, their horn is pointing at 30. Like, the devil that's up in the air isn't even a real devil; it's a prop, right? So like, it's such an unsatisfying solution because
You're right. I think so. Like, I would be more convinced if there was a third arrow, maybe another devil's tail that was pointing to 1, and then that way you have at least 3, and then you actually do have an odd one in principle, where it's like, well, the only one that doesn't have an arrow pointing to it is 30, but in this you don't. One does not have an arrow pointing to it, so you still have that element of doubt.
Well, let's imagine for a second that is what's going on. I mean, I would say the tail pointing at 36 and the trident pointing at 38, they do seem to be pointing pretty directly towards those numbers, more so than like the horn pointing at 30 or anything like that. But so let's imagine the lesson of room 1 is, the 3 of the doors are sort of referenced in the text, and 1 is not, and the one that's not is the one you take. Now there's definite echo coming through on me.
Yeah, it's everyone though.
I think it's coming from you, Alex.
Okay, let me fix that for you.
Jesus. Unprofessional.
It's not bad though.
Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah, I don't hear it anymore.
That's better.
And then let's say, in room 26 then ends up being much simpler, but let's say it's supposed to teach you this lesson about things pointing at doors. But the problem is that doesn't remain consistent then, so you're still left with this question of when do we know that something pointing at the door means that it's not right, or when it is. I mean, like if you look at, room 39, say, you have the trowel pointing at 4, which is the correct door number, and you have a bottle pointing at room 11, the 11. Room 12 sort of has the wine barrel pointing towards it, but I mean, I think you could easily say that a barrel doesn't actually point in the same way that the trowel and the bottle point. Much like room 26, you can find things in the room and say that they're pointing here or there, but the tail and the trident point much more clearly. In the same way, in 39, the trowel and the bottle point much more clearly than the barrel. So it seems like if that's the reasoning that we're using, then we should be able to say you go to room 12. Of course, you don't go to room 12. That doesn't seem to be sufficient to say that's the reasoning you should use, that things are pointing at 2 of the doors but not the other one. So that seems like a problematic solution to have, not to mention that it just doesn't make use of most of the room.
Well, and then also, suppose you use it to go to room 30, right from 26 to 30, which is where you're supposed to go. So suppose you use the pointing method. There are things pointing in 30. So you've got the thing pointing at 5. You've got the the minute hand pointing at 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got you've got an unnecessary anagram for if no Eve, because you've already got 15 indicated. And then you don't have anything pointing at 34. You've just got the F-hour tree anagram.
Plus discussion in the text of that door specifically.
Yeah, and the doorway being elaborate compared to the others.
Right.
Right. But you have arrow pointing still, but like you have weird redundancies then, where like one door is being ruled out two different ways. One door is only being ruled out through anagram. I don't know. Maybe
you could argue that what you call redundancies are red herrings.
Well,
But
but they're
the-
not really red herring. They get you to the correct solution.
I mean, I guess it's a red herring in the sense that if you rule out the one that the sign is pointing at and then do the anagram, you might think, oh, 1-5, I should go through door 1-5. But if you already know the arrow rule, you've already ruled out 1-5. So that anagram's not doing much for you.
Let me ask you what you think of another room on the path, because I don't think you've seen this solution offered before.
Okay.
Look at room 12.
Okay.
Now I'm going by memory here. Are the doors in 12 2, 21, 39, and
No.
8? Well, no.
Oh,
What
yeah.
are
Yep.
Sorry, no, you're right. I just missed 39.
they? Okay, so it's 2, 21, 8, and 39, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the paintings has somebody holding up 2 fingers, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Suggesting room 2. Another one has somebody holding up 2 fingers and 1 finger, suggesting like 21 maybe, right?
Yeah.
And then the third picture has a guy with a fork and knife and an empty plate, suggesting he just ate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those pictures are meant to suggest 2, 21, and 8, which leaves 39 as the unsuggested door.
Mm-hmm.
And the odd one in or out there. What do you think of that?
Well, so the redundancy is the UD.
How is UD redundant?
Well, because we haven't found out a solution for it, or it's a red herring.
That doesn't make it redundant.
That's for the shoulders, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's part of the riddle of the path.
Oh, okay.
Let me look at the text before I.
Although in this one, in the text, they talk about the 39 opening.
Right, they talk a lot about 39 in the text.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're reading the text now. I'll say, to me, this is a solution that seems fairly plausible. Like, it seems almost straightforward once you get the pun of 8 and 8.
Yeah.
That you've got paintings suggesting 2, 21, and 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that not everyone was enamored of that. But I don't know. To me, that seems like a fairly solid one.
Maybe I need like a 4-tiered system for rating them, but I would put this on the better end of like once you get the pun, I think that seems like an odd one in solution.
And the fact that the text is not particularly helpful, I think, and this is looking beyond just what you would see if you came to the room, so it's not quite following that rule. But just if we're looking on a meta level, I guess, why isn't the text more helpful? It's because this is the room that has the copied version of it in room 28, which has the exact same text, but has, different...
It's breaking up a little bit.
Oh.
I can hear him.
Well, I'm saying that the text here was the exact same as the text in room 28, which has somewhat different consequences for choosing the doors in the same locations and somewhat different clues in the pictures. So it's somewhat sensible that the text is not telling you which door to take, since it's the same in both rooms.
Right.
Oh, is 28 also on the path?
No.
It's one of those weird rooms. It's neither on the path or the loop, although it's not a good room to be in. If you're in 28, well, you shouldn't be there. I think every room is worse off than where you came from, 45.
Yeah, right. It's not a loop room.
No, it's what White Raven calls the side path. It'll be on the path in maps, but it's not part of the solution. It's not part of the 16-step path.
Right.
Is the text exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay, and then the differences apart from the numbers are subtle difference in 2 of the paintings, and then what the door numbers are.
Well, there's also an interesting difference in the way the view through room 21 looks, because 21 in room 12 and it's room, what, 43?
43.
Yeah.
3 and 28.
Yeah.
The view of the outside is different in the 2 rooms.
Right.
Oh, I see, because you have the overhang thing there. Is this part of the theory of maze time?
No. No, whoops. That's not what I was trying to do. It's,
The one at 28 doesn't look real. It looks like it's a picture of outdoors rather than actually outdoors.
yeah, like if you look closely, you could see the borders kind of look funny, like it's just a hanging or something, and there's almost little stitching marks that you can see.
Okay.
Well, no need to get too deep into that at the moment. But
I like that. I think that.
no, I think it's true too. It looks more like a poster hung on a door or something if you look at the edges.
Yeah.
But we've done that in exhaustive detail.
Right. It's true. That's true. We
So
don't.
has anybody had a theory about what the difference is between the 2 bones versus the 1 bone, or the difference in how the guy is holding his scroll case or whatever?
Not about the scroll, the 2 bones thing. I can't remember. So in room 28, is it
1 bone.
Oh, it's 1 bone in 28. I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember what exactly something about the pictures is. You can add up to 23, but I don't remember exactly how that works.
I always forget that one.
I might remember if I were looking at the room. I can't even remember what fingers they're holding up.
You can. Oh, I'm screen sharing it. You can't. I guess you can't see on your phone.
Yeah, for some reason I'm just seeing a frozen image of your face.
What? Oh, that's weird.
Maybe you should disconnect and reconnect.
Can you guys see?
Yeah, I see it.
You see the room?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, it's just,
I see what you've got. I think Vincent's just got a bad connection.
listen,
Oh.
it doesn't matter anyway.
Okay.
We don't need to agonize over the solution in room 28.
Okay. It's true. I don't even know what we're doing right now.
I mean, you could almost see the painting where the guy's pointing differently, as he's pointing you back to room 45.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's directional in there, you know, or maybe it's just total random nonsense in 28. Like the whole room.
Now, to get here, you must have been to the other room before, so if you remember that he used to have his fingers differently, you might notice that he's pointing you back.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether the intent was to draw connections between the 2 rooms, or if Manson was just hoping people would get confused about which room they had been in before.
Yeah. I think the latter.
I think the latter too, although I'm not sure how likely that is.
That people would actually get confused?
Yeah, well, because room 28 is one of those rooms that you can only get to after you make it to 45. So you would typically, I think you'd expect someone to have a fair amount of experience navigating the maze before they get back there.
That's true.
But I guess I don't know that for sure. And when we watch people go through the maze, they tend to forget which rooms correspond to which numbers pretty quickly. So I
Right.
could be wrong in thinking that people would remember whether they've been to 12 or 28.
I'm just gonna say what the listed solution is in here, just because. Okay, right hand picture shows 2 fingers on the upper hand and 1 finger on the lower hand. 2 plus 1, 2 and 1 is 21. The left hand pictures show 1 bone and 1 finger. Put the 3 pictures together. 1 plus 1 plus 21 equals 23.
There you go.
Independent credit for Watkins.
So is going to 23 a good thing?
Yeah.
Arguably, It's on these rooms that are off the path. It's hard to identify what really is the best room, what you should go back to.
That's true.
I mean, you could go back to 45 and then go to 23. I mean, I guess you have to have already been to 45, so 23 is actually the next room on the path that you should go to.
I do not buy the solution you just proposed to get to 23 from here.
Where you're adding stuff up.
Yeah, that's just bullshit.
But Lewis, you have to admit that 21 plus 1 plus 1 equals 23.
I mean, I agree.
Well, I accept your confession.
How much you want to bet I can figure out a way to get 43 in this room? Where did you get the 21?
It's the wrong answer. Why would you try to do that?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, doesn't the UD there look a little bit like a minotaur?
Alex has actually pointed that out in the past, and it kind of does.
Oh, so I was being facetious.
Well,
I know, but
it actually looks like a minotaur, but it looks a little bit like the astrological symbol for Taurus.
Right. And actually,
like
the caps on the columns kind of look like horns too. Look like bull horns, kind of.
Yeah, I guess you have to decide whether it strengthens or weakens.
They look more like Aries horns.
That you can find bulls everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, you can't find bulls everywhere because, as Alex points out, those are rams, not bulls.
Right. Okay. Because they're too curly.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's
Still Zodiac.
There's bull stuff everywhere. Nobody is disputing that the Minotaur is the guide. I mean, no one is arguing about that.
Okay.
What? I thought it was Michael Jackson.
Right.
Is there a solution to room 20 that's accepted? No. Is there a solution to room 20 that's accepted that anyone would think is reasonable?
No.
No.
I mean, this is not really a solution, but I mean, the most you can say is that if you've made it to room 20, then obviously you're going to 1. Like, if you've made it to room 20 after room 45, then the correct answer is obvious, kind of like in room 17. But no one has offered a good suggestion for anything in the room, I don't think. Well, with the exception of the S on the floor being part of the riddle of the path.
Well, what about the tortoise being the winner of the race with the hair?
Well,
I mean, that's not really a solution, but it's more of he just threw it in there.
It's like an indication that it's the end.
Sorry, was there a hair?
I'm not even sure
Was there a hair?
it seems kind of like a holiday egg a little bit. Just that you have the hair.
Wait, was there a mentioned somewhere, or is like literally any turtle in any book of reference?
Yeah, it's on page 15. He's in the loop.
It's
There
not.
is a hair.
It's because you've got the hair a couple rooms back. As you're going along the path, you first run into the hair, like resting on a chair, and then right before the end, you run into the tortoise.
I see. Slow and steady. 2 S's on the ground.
So, like, really, the useful thing about this room is if you wrongly come here from room 1, it's good if the room tells you this is the end, you should start again. And there's the reference to the tower, which is the 16th trump, right? So that's like not a terrible indication that this is the end of the 16-step path.
Except it's the 15th step.
Well, yes, it is. But, it's like...
Sorry, what does the tower tell you?
That there's a lot of T's in this room. A tower, telephone, tortoise.
The idea is supposed to be because the tower is card number 16 in the tarot, that it's there to tell you that, I guess, that you're about to take the 16th step.
I don't think that's terrible. I really don't. I mean, it is the tower. That's exactly what that image is.
Okay.
And that's the most useful message to have in this room, is that this is the end of the path. And if you came here from 1, this is the wrong place to be. But if you...
Except maybe if it had like the 15th tarot card, because this is the 15th step.
Wow.
I mean, that's not hard to do. Like draw the other card instead.
What is the 15th one?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Maybe it is hard to draw. That's why you went with the 16th.
Right. Maybe it's hard.
I mean, presumably it doesn't start with a T, is my guess.
Right. So I mean, if it was essential that everything starts with a T, like he just decided to fill a room with T's, and then he decided, hey, it would be great if I put in the 16th tarot card. Hey, and it starts with a T. What luck?
I just Googled 15th Trump and I got a bunch of pictures of Donald Trump. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the 15th Trump is the devil, so I can kind of see why he would want to put the 15th one there.
Well, you do have a bunch of devils in room 26, so I guess he's communicating that room 26 is the 15th step on the path.
But they're not the devil like in the tarot card. This is obviously the tower from the tarot card.
Oh,
So
undoubtedly.
is there any other room that corresponds to a tarot card?
Yeah,
Yes, 27.
And
But is it a tarot card, though? There's been a lot of debate whether this blind man without a beard, without a staff,
Right.
is...
So the short answer is that there is no other image in Maze that so compellingly resembles a tarot card as the tower in room 20. There are numerous images that bear resemblances to tarot cards, and it has been much debated whether any of them are related to tarot.
what does the Greek or Latin say under the dude?
May the fates decide.
right.
No, the fates will find a way.
Right.
Fata
can we
viam
tell me what
invenient.
Yeah, can somebody just tell me what the Latin expression is?
Fata viam invenient. I'm sure that's very badly pronounced.
It's a line from Virgil.
Which, if you add up all the V's
So,
and I's,
if I had to guess, it's probably Virgil.
13.
What's that? You're saying that guy's probably Virgil?
I mean, more likely that he is Virgil or someone Virgil related than someone tarot related.
It seems like it, but no one has really identified a good candidate for who that person could be. He doesn't look like anyone particular.
The only argument for the hermit was the fact that he had a lantern, but it doesn't go past that.
And
Right.
the ninth Trump, he's,
I mean, that's basically it. The hermit is tarot card number 9 and has a lantern, and you come here from a room that has a clear tarot reference, but this figure doesn't actually look like any image of the hermit that anyone has ever been able to find.
oh, we can't get into this argument again.
It's not an argument. That's I don't think anyone disagrees with that, right? He doesn't look like any of the hermits.
No, but that's the point.
I did in a previous episode, but
You can tell he's a hermit, but how much he doesn't look like the hermit. That's the
Oh, I'm not arguing about this again.
Well, hold on, Sarah. You think he looks like a hermit?
I think he is intended to evoke the hermit card because like 7 or 8 or a million
Right.
different people thought about the hermit card when they looked at this image. And yet many of his attributes are the opposite of the hermit card. And that is why it is telling you to take the other door.
What's the opposite of a lantern, though? I'm just kidding.
You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, whether or not you agree with it.
Does anyone go blind in the Aeneid?
I don't know.
Oh man, we had this. Well, we had a whole theory about him being, what's his name, Oedipus.
Who?
Oedipus. Sorry.
Oedipus isn't in the Aeneid.
No. Greek though.
Okay, he's just much there.
I agree that a figure from Greek myth. It would make a lot of sense to clue that with Virgil.
Anyway. I'm not going to get into that because it's obviously ridiculous, but don't even know.
Manson put Oedipus in there because this room's a real motherfucker.
Wah, wah.
Hang on.
Was there anything reasonable in this room?
Oh.
Sorry?
Was there anything reasonable in this room?
Well,
Who are you asking?
All of you.
reasonableness is the shifting standard, right? I mean, there's stuff that seems almost too reasonable or too easy to be correct, but you've got like the text talking about what the statue was telling you, and you look at the statue's shadow and it seems to be pointing at the spade, and then door 13 has a spade over it. Like, in a normal puzzle book, I think you would feel like, oh yeah, it's pointing at the spade, telling us to go in the door with the spade.
And
but
also,
for some reason, in Maze, that kind of stuff gets brushed aside as being.
Can I just say that there is a character in the Aeneid who's blind. It is Anchises, who is the father of Aeneas. And he gets seduced by Aphrodite, and Zeus gets pissed off and blinds him with a thunderbolt.
No, you may not say that.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's worth investigating. I mean,
Matt,
this
I
person
don't
looks
know.
more like a youth than somebody's father who had sex with Aphrodite, but
You don't know how old he was when he slept with Aphrodite.
it's true. I mean, I guess she's more likely to sleep with a well-formed youth than some crusty old man. Hashtag ageism.
okay, so there's also the 13 being the number of cards in a suit, and there's all the
What-
card stuff.
I mean,
What's
that's
13?
again. I feel. I mean, that seems like nothing you would ever rely on,
Mm,
independently of looking for a 13, right?
right. But the point is, you have two numbers from which to choose. You've got a 13 and a 9, so you're looking for those two numbers. It's not like you're looking for all the numbers in the universe.
Well, we don't know that you're looking for a number in particular.
No, but that's one of the options.
No. And I
There's a
think.
cat and a bat, right?
What about the bat?
There's a cat and a bat. There's a picture of a cat next to a bat.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm confident of. I mean, I know there could be red herrings in here, but if somebody's like if there's not even like a plausible thing that goes with like, hey, what about cat and bat? Like, what if that suggests something? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, B and C, A, B, C. Try to find an A somewhere.
I'm really convinced
I was
this is not recording.
I was thinking more because they rhyme,
But I'm not following what you're saying, though, other than pointing out that they run.
oh, so like, remember how there's the one room where it's like hit, spit, bit, mid,
Oh, yeah.
right? So like, I don't know where we are in the maze when we're in this room, but like, that is a puzzle technique. That's all in air quotes that Manson seems to use. Namely, put a bunch of rhyming words to suggest something. So like cat and bat, I don't know what that's supposed to suggest here, but it'd be weird if it wasn't part of some riddle.
Yeah.
It could be just misdirection.
Right, it could be. But it would be super weird if there was that, and then the actual solution was like, there's a bunch of card-themed stuff, so go through 13. Or there's a spade on the floor, so go through the spade door.
Yeah, I think what Lewis is trying to say is that even if this is a red herring, there's still a solvable puzzle within it. Or there should be, at least.
Okay, so Manson has said that there's a puzzle that nobody has found yet that he's aware of. So who knows? Maybe there is a statement on the loop somewhere.
Maybe he's talking about the puzzle in the second room that tells you where to go.
Maybe. Maybe.
Every once in a while, he looks at the site. Let's see if they solved anything besides room 1. Nope.
Oh my god. So we know from the Practical Alchemist that he is quite happy to do a lot of misdirection, and you can't necessarily tell what's meaningful and what's not, right?
Yeah.
So we know he does a lot of that. So it makes sense that there's going to be a bunch of noise.
Yeah, and I kind of suspect with these loop rooms, maybe it's basically all noise. Like, because it really doesn't matter which room you go to most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think that all the rooms are just pointing you the shortest way back to room 1. If his goal is to keep you lost, and which it seems to be, I mean, looking at F-hour tree, like when he makes that puzzle, he's like, someone is going to figure out F-hour tree, and I want that person to get lost. And I want them to think that 34 is the right door.
Oh my god.
The person who actually solves the room is supposed to be a step above the person who solves F-hour tree, because the person above that realizes that that's just part of a puzzle whereby all the wrong doors are indicated. So we keep saying it would be strange if it would be weird if I mean, obviously it could be strange or weird, but I think it's at least weird to assume that he has all these things leading you to wrong doors on the path, but then as soon as you fall in the loop, he starts directing you the correct way back to 1.
No, I agree.
Which is just to say, I don't think we should choose the door that takes you the right way, and then just look for puzzles that indicate that door. I think there could be things indicating any door in any room.
Well, and other messages, as we've discovered.
Yes. Right. Might not even be about a door.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is where, I mean, one thing that is compelling to me, which I was talking about earlier, is room 31, because I feel like the way those tree branches are drawn, there's obviously something going on, because they're really carefully but also weirdly drawn, so it seems pretty certain that he's hidden something in there, but of course he's hidden it so well that no one can tell. But
what did you say today that the word was?
Leave. I can't even find the letters I found. I honestly can't find them again.
That's because you forgot to draw them in yellow highlighter.
Right. Oh, 2 Lewises. Okay. Yeah. That bugs me, though. That's just one of those, I mean, doesn't it look to you like he's drawn it so as to do something more than just have a bunch of branches that look like
I mean, I feel the same way about the wires in 11, you know? keep looking for something in there, but...
Oh!
Well, there's always the thing, you know, it might be just hiding the arm-like branch that's pointing towards 44. I don't know if that's legit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that is, I mean, seems reasonable. But there's a lot of other stuff going on there. It seems like it's more than just misdirection.
Sorry. Okay. Being aware that there's the possibility of misdirection, sure. But let's take a step back, because here's my thing. Like, I'd rather spend time working on puzzles that turn out to be misdirection than being like, there are elements there that seem like obvious elements of a puzzle, but let's ignore them, right?
Yeah.
So, like, there is a cat and there is a bat. And that seems like elements of what could be clues of something. That's like you're
Right.
never gonna find more F-hour trees if you don't explore the things that look like the ingredients of puzzles.
Yeah, I mean, misdirection, when you use that word to describe a puzzle that points the wrong way, that's one thing. If you're using it to say something that was thrown in the room arbitrarily that doesn't mean anything, I don't know that we're ever going to have evidence that there's something like that in the maze. I mean, there could be all over, but we'd never know it because we can't tell the difference between a puzzle that we can't solve and something that has no meaning. But it certainly seems like there's no advantage to dismissing something and saying that, well, maybe it just means nothing.
Like, let's look at room 9 for a second.
All right.
So room 9, there's an apple on the floor that may or may not have a fly on it. There's a painting of an angel in the background.
A fly, really?
May or may not. I think it's probably not, but it's. I'm pretty sure it's just the leaves, but because there's no color, you can't 100% tell. It looks a little bit like the fly that's in the room that's attacking the frog painting. Okay, you've got a blind mouse, which is kind of weird because it's sitting next to the door labeled 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have like 3 dudes in a painting that's half buried. You've got a broken shovel. You've got the Star of Bethlehem back there in that painting that's mostly obscured, and you've got a torn painting. Like, many of these things look like they could be elements of stuff. Like, the 3 and then the blind mouse, that seems like it's got to be something. The apple on the floor, it'd be super fucking weird if that's not something. The broken shovel.
I don't know if you have the impression that we've like completely ignored clues. We haven't.
We have noticed these things.
No, I understand.
I mean, Lewis, it really comes down to how much you're willing to believe.
No, I don't. False. I keep believing in myself. That's for sure.
Okay, well, let's take 3 blind mice, right? Like 3 blind mice is a thing. It's an actual thing in reality. Does that help you? Does that not help you? I don't know, but I know that that's a real thing.
Right. Okay. So. All right, we came out of, I assume, the pit in the bottom of the room. So we have to choose between 3 and 18.
You might have come from 3. You might have come from
27.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
okay.
The blind mouse at least points toward 3. It's certainly suggestive of 3.
Right. And there's also the other painting with 3 dudes in it.
3 beardy men.
Okay. Now this torn painting here, it looks kind of like, what room is that?
2. 2?
Yeah, it looks a little bit like, not that much though.
So
yeah, it's not similar enough to room 2.
I mean, it looks, many people, I don't know, some people think that it looks like it's the Minotaur who is hidden by the tear, that he like tore it in a rage or whatever, and that's Theseus, and it's a Minotaur clue.
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, like in room 6, where the piece of paper that says who the guide is has been torn up. The theory is that this is supposed to be, you got like a Greek warrior on the left, and then whatever is on the right has been obscured because the painting's been torn. It's the idea that it's a picture of the Minotaur that the guide wanted to obscure because he doesn't want people to realize who he is. Which combines...
Sorry. Is there anything about it that makes it likely? Like, is there anything about it besides just that that's a fun story to tell?
Not really. I mean,
Well, it doesn't help you with the doors, I don't think.
well,
But
that doesn't
that's not
matter.
what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, like, I could come up with all sorts of, like, little fictions that I could write about what's going on in the stupid house. Like, what is it
What
about
did you call it, Lewis?
What?
The stupid house?
Yeah.
You just watch it.
Well,
Just
this
watch
this
what?
fiction isn't like as frivolous as that. I mean, we do know that the guide seems to want to obscure his identity. That he's
No,
uh,
I understand it's consistent with that. What I'm saying is, like, maybe he also posed for a portrait while dressed up as a blind mouse so that people wouldn't know who he was. Like, I could write that story too, but, like,
right, but
you
that
know,
seems on the face of it less plausible to you, right?
I understand that, but my point is, I'm asking if there's anything about this painting that indicates that that might be what's going on with it, other than that it's torn.
No, I don't think. Well,
Somebody said something the other day about it being consistent in style with certain things, but I don't.
I don't know that that matters much. I mean, no, I think it's highly inferential. I mean, you have to combine some things, and still it's not solid. It's an explanation that seems to
Sure.
fit.
Okay.
I mean, one other
What about
thing about it is that remember that this is a room that the guide intended to conceal an entrance to
Mm-hmm.
back in 27. That he wanted that entrance buried. He didn't want you to be able to go in here, which is just sort of suggestive that there was something in here he didn't want you to see, and then this painting has been damaged. But no, it's certainly not a very solid account of what's going on here. But it
Oh,
seems pretty plausible to me.
Is there any theory about what's going on with the apple?
Just
I
that it
can't think of a
starts
good
with
one.
A.
so there's that hidden A
Sorry.
in the painting. There's that thing that looks like an A in the painting, and then the correct door has an angel and an apple. I'm going to zoom in on it a bit.
Sorry, what makes it
Yeah.
the correct door?
It's a pretty plausible A.
What makes it the correct door?
It's just a door that'll take you back to one the fastest.
Okay.
But I think that's probably. I don't know that we should be focusing too much on which doors are the best doors in the loop here.
Okay.
And what about the broken shovel?
Don't know.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
I mean, I guess the handle is just pointing towards the door.
I mean, it could refer to the three blind mice thing where she cuts off their tails, right? So
Do people call the handle of a shovel the tail of a shovel
no,
ever?
no.
So then how could it be referring to that?
Well, I
It's
think
not
you
too
would still.
big of a leap. It's not a giant leap. Does anyone see any kind of visual similarity between the angel and its wings and the triangles in the painting?
I remember Vince had a theory about the shovel leading you the right way because, you know, the person who shoveled their way out of here used the shovel, so you should trust them and their shovel, and therefore follow whichever direction it goes in. I don't know if he was being facetious when he came up with that, but
No, that's not what that's about. That's from back in 27, where they talk about how they followed the people who came through the hole, and you can tell from the dirt being piled up in 9 as opposed to 27 that whoever dug that hole traveled from 9 to 27.
Mm-hmm.
So when they left 27, they must have gone to 13. So that's suggesting they went to 13, not to 9. But nothing about this shovel here.
Dust obscured a damaged painting. That's weird because the dust is not obscuring anything here.
If you want to get technical about Theseus, I don't think he had a shield when he went into the maze. Didn't he just have the knife in the ball of twine?
There are different accounts of how he was armed when he fought the Minotaur, but I haven't seen any picture painting that would depict him in full, Greek armament going against the.
And his sword's not even drawn, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he's depicted as like naked with a club, and sometimes he has a sword. I've seen one where he was actually just a knight. But yeah, it would be curious if this was meant to evoke the image of Theseus fighting the Minotaur, and it depicts Theseus in a way that he's never been depicted.
Maybe that's an Ask Manson question. It would tell us a lot, because if he did mean it to evoke Theseus and the Minotaur, then that would tell us that he doesn't really care very much about making things look like the things he's trying to draw.
I would also explain the stork in Room 21.
Right.
Well, we may be winding down here.
Maybe.
In hour 7 of this Mazecast.
Which I'm still afraid that we have not taped.
Why do you think it's not recording?
Well, there's no recording icon.
It's live, but did anybody do the thing where you have to agree? And I'm just worried that it's streaming but not recording.
No, I did. I had to click on a thing agreeing to.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's just because I started it. Okay. All right. I'll stop wasting time talking about it.
I mean, I guess in conclusion,
we're like inconclusive.
Oh my gosh.
Zing. If anyone is still watching this, isn't that just a hilarious thought? Someone actually watching all this?
But people do. We have a fan.
Hey, Kontiki, if you're watching this, you better make the next one.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have for you. If you've watched all this, why aren't you part of the chat group by now?
Yeah.
Like, what would compel you to want to watch all this and not just come in and talk to us?
Maybe it's Christopher Manson.
I have to repeat, why are you watching this? I think if Christopher Manson were watching something like this, it would just be the most painful experience.
How many bowling pins are there in the maze?
2.
Just the 2, just 8 and 13 or whatever?
18 and 8.
Sorry. 8 and 18. It'd be better if they were in 7 and 10.
Well, you could probably figure out a way where symbolically they are.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that you can do whatever you want if you like. There's this game called 24 where they put 4 numbers down and you try and make them equal 24, and it turns out you can do it with just about any 4 numbers. So, I believe you can make numbers do weird things.
Yeah, but I talked to Manson and he confirmed it. I sent him a picture of the 4 numbers, and he said that I pretty much got it.
Is there anything interesting that's been said about 18?
Interesting? I don't know.
I found a bowl in there.
You what?
Tried to reproduce the music on the pictures there to bad results.
Well, it's a doorbell. That's what I think is really cute about it. It is the doorbell sound.
I mean, isn't any 2 notes the doorbell sound?
No, it's a specific interval.
Ding, ding.
Sorry, it's just, I mean, but it's just like a full step apart, right?
I guess so.
Like, would if those notes were just shifted up, like higher up on the bass clef, would you still think it's the doorbell doorbell?
Well, wait a second. You asked if there was anything interesting about this room. Isn't it A and C? Aren't those the 2 notes?
Yeah,
Yes.
well, C and A.
Yeah, that's a pretty good door indicator.
And so that's 1 and 3, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, how is
Remember,
that?
they're in the opposite order. It goes CA, so it's 3-1.
Right.
Well, there's only the one room that could mean if you were to.
But
that's
no, but that's. There's also a base clef. That's a B.
yeah, but it doesn't go to room 2. It goes to room 13.
I.
That's why those notes are a good puzzle. They confirm that the door goes to room 13. It would be a bad puzzle if it gave you some other number. You'd just get confused.
There's a hat in the room. There's a bowling pin. There's a dragon drawing. It doesn't get mentioned at all.
Oh, well, there's something for the dragon.
Where did you find a bull? I don't see a bull.
Oh, you have to turn it upside down.
You look at
Oh,
the face upside down. The dragon becomes the nose of the bull.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a smoothly hidden picture, but it looks more like a bull than that shit in 43.
No, I'm sorry. There's no bull in this room. The only bull in this room is that story.
Oh, I like it. It's a better explanation for the dragon than others I've heard.
I mean, I'm sure there's really shitty explanations for the dragon. That doesn't make this. This is the thing. I think the maze community has so lowered the standards for what counts as a good explanation that you guys are satisfied with really crappy explanations because they're better than the stuff that you read from Gentile.
Well, I don't think that a lot of people are like. I don't think there's a lot that, for instance, Vincent would say he is satisfied with, or Diane or Alex. Like, I don't know. I'm the only person who's really satisfied by a lot here, and I think I'm a happier person for it.
I mean, yeah, that's what the Stoics recommend, as I point out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the problem is we're not like this isn't a mathematical theorem, right? This is all something that came from an artist who created something in this frenzy, and we're looking for stuff that he might have put in there. We're not. I mean, there's two questions, right? Like, is it a good puzzle? Is it intended? Those are two different questions.
Oh, I think we're past the good puzzle stage.
I'm looking for more things that are like the F-hour tree.
Okay.
I don't care if they indicate the right door. I care if they are like. It is impossible to look at that once you've heard that F-hour tree is an anagram for 4-3 and not be like, oh, that is 100% what that is doing.
Right.
I like if somebody doubts that is indicating F-hour tree to be an anagram for 4-3, I cannot engage with them about what's going on in this book.
I don't think anyone doubts that.
Right. But my point is, I want to find more things like that in the book where when you hear them, they are indubitable.
Well, we all want that.
Well, everyone wants it, but not everyone seems very motivated to work towards it. And the thing is, like, you could work towards that for a long time and just not get any results. But if you say instead, I'm going to work for a way to interpret this room as a metaphor based on this information I gleaned from an article on Wikipedia, then you can get results all day long. So it's sort of, there's a little more excitement, I guess, to be had from making stuff up than from looking for the F-hour trees.
That's probably true.
Is room 22 on the trefoil path?
23?
No, 22.
Oh, yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to know where the trefoil is in that room?
Is it the three triangles at the top of the doors?
That's
yes, if you want it to be.
Well,
3 triangles. It's the 3 curves.
What?
it's the shape of the doors, the top of the doors. Like the center door.
No, but look at there's groups of 3 triangles at the top of each door.
Oh, that's it too. I'm sure that's it as well.
Yeah, that's it too. And the trident That's the trefoil too.
Yeah.
Vincent, do you remember when we thought that maybe the trident and then the octagon next to it were indicating 38?
Yeah.
That's at least as plausible as, well, nothing. That's not very plausible.
Oh, it's more plausible than those trefoils.
I like it.
That's true.
I like the stop thing for that collection of objects because it uses all of them and it makes sense.
What? Explain.
So there's a pawn, that's a P. There's a trident, that's T. There's a seat, that's an S, or a sofa if you like, or a settee or whatever. And there's an octagon, that's an O. And it's also the whole thing is shaped like a stop sign. So I think the room is just saying stop because it doesn't get any better than that room once you're in the trap.
What do you mean it doesn't get any better than that room?
Well, all you can do from that room is get closer to the 24.
In other words, going to 38 doesn't help you. 43 doesn't help you either. Like you're stuck here.
Sir, are you in the trap?
Yeah, there's no good way out of here. If you go to 43 or 38, you're still fucked. So
I'm pretty satisfied with that as an overall interpretation of this room. It's just saying stop.
Would you say you're 98% satisfied?
I don't really want to get into percentages. You can get in trouble that way.
Wait, why do you get in trouble?
Gentile always used to give his
Oh, yeah.
satisfaction with the room, and it was always like 98 or 99%. Even like right after he comes up with new information that completely changes the interpretation of the room, it's still now new satisfaction, 99%.
Shouldn't it be Stulp because there's a lantern above it?
It's not attached.
Oh.
The lantern's there to define the trefoil shape.
I wonder
Scale,
whether the sign
tail.
here actually communicates something about the identity of the guide.
What?
I said I wonder whether the signs here communicate something about the identity of the guide.
Well,
Scale,
there is
scale, tail, herring, water.
Kind of speaks for itself.
should be screen sharing. There is a bull tail on the back end of room 43. Silence.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if you can get the herring sign to be an O and the water sign to be a P.
if it's precipitation.
Because then the signs would spell stop, and then I'd be more with you.
Yeah, we've been there before.
Okay.
We have.
I mean, herring could be an O because you get herring from her ring.
Right.
So the ring could be an O.
Right.
But it makes it questionable why it's specifying her ring. And really, you're only doing that so you can get the herring. Well, I guess you could just say, well, the problem is a ring isn't particularly woman's jewelry. But nevertheless, if you were really trying to force the issue, you can get to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to force the issue. That's my whole game is not.
Well, you're a disgrace to the maze community.
And now we have come to a stop.
Yeah, for like the 10th time. Maybe this time we'll actually stop. But it seems like we've gone on so absurdly long now. It just gets funnier the longer we keep going.
I know. How long can this hangout last? It's only 1 a.m. The night is young.
Do you guys have a letter theory for room 29?
A letter theory?
Bottle, leaf, condiment, key, spatula.
Oh, Vince is going to get angry with you now.
Yeah.
I'm not getting angry. No.
You got angry with me when I tried to do something like that.
Oh, well, you knew better.
Okay.
No, the symbols up there are supposed to be indicative of flipping. So, like, because they relate to the turning the book upside down.
Oh, I see. Because you turn a key, you turn the spatula is actually a turner, not a spatula.
You have
I
to,
guess you. Yeah.
yeah, you like upend a salt shaker.
Yeah.
The
Leaf
leaf,
turn.
I guess, is related to the phrase turning over a new leaf.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
have
see.
the hourglass there that you turn over.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an hourglass, it's a bottle.
No, on the floor.
Oh, yeah. That's
I'm
right.
not
I think
even
you and I
looking
have
at the
probably had that
page,
conversation.
Lewis.
What?
I said I'm not even looking at the page, Lewis.
What about the bottle above door 8?
Yeah, you don't you turn a bottle 180 degrees when you're drinking from it?
No.
What about when you're pouring from it?
What about if you were in college?
I was in college. I still don't do that.
Didn't you just turn the beer bottle straight up into the air?
It's required.
I've never drank beer myself, and I'm not sure I've ever seen someone drink beer, but I imagine that's how it's done.
Is skeleton tree an anagram for anything interesting?
No, I tried that.
Yeah, we tried a number of things in there. What you're talking about, room 31, right?
Yeah, I'm just flipping through rooms now. I'll
I
tell
mean-
you, if the room I
Well-
want to crack most is 33, Beethoven's Ninth Suite.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Revelation by Moonlight.
Sure does look puzzly.
Right? And also, okay, you've got a B and a key.
Mm-hmm.
You've got
A ring and a thing.
you've got a crown and a dagger. Don't really go together. You've got a vase and panpipes in the shape of a V. It just really seems like there should be a fucking puzzle here.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, next, can we ask Manson if there's a fucking puzzle in room 33? Is that an option?
You can
Yeah.
ask anything you want. Put up there. We'll vote for it.
Yeah.
I don't want to participate on the Abyss. Participating in
Oh.
Mazecast is too much for me.
Well, it's too cool for school.
You've
Wait.
already stepped over the line. Like, there's no going back now.
Listen, the other thing that ruins me for this is I cannot look at this room without part of my mind being dedicated to thinking about how Gentile got Beethoven out of this room.
Beethoven.
There's a bee, there's some instruments. It's not,
No. I don't. I'm not confused about how he started thinking about Beethoven.
Okay.
Although a little bit. I'm more confused. It's like his actual process for getting an anagram of Beethoven out of this room or an egogram of Beethoven involved identifying the bird on the ring as a wren and then discarding the W and R for no reason.
Oh, that's right.
And I was like, why do you get to get rid of those? And he didn't have an explanation. He's like, because you don't need them to spell Beethoven.
Did you invent the term egogram?
I did.
Okay, I think you should define that because that's fun.
An egogram is Vincent should probably define it because I invented it, but I just invented it by ostension. I pointed at a bunch of Gentile stuff and said that's egogramming.
Yeah, I don't know how to define it precisely. I guess in general, it's akin to an anagram, but it's when you say that a word is meant to be interpreted as another word because it has similar letters in it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or a similar sound even. Or maybe just not even that similar of letters or sound, but based on minimal similarities between the letters and sounds in the two words.
Right. like what is it, robot head or something like that.
Robot brain, yeah.
Robot brain, that's right.
Like for Amphora becomes
Ira
Am
Bullman.
for Raven.
M for Raven, that's right.
Or literally any combination of objects or letters becomes Christopher Manson.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mental illness, it's hilarious. Nothing better than laughing at a crazy guy.
Question.
No.
Hang on. I'm laughing at my interactions with him.
Yeah.
That's a distinction without a difference. Has anyone figured out anything interesting to do with the matches on the floor in 35?
No. No one has figured out anything good to do with 35.
Oh,
Oh, what a surprise. I bet Sarah thinks that something White Raven said is good in 35.
well, yeah, I think
The figure is made out of sticks. That's the clue that you shouldn't stick around too long.
I think the idea that, oh my god, I think the idea that this room has clues for other rooms in the loop, it's pretty good and holds up.
What are the clues?
Okay, so the way the arm on the sofa is, it looks like a bass clef. And that's the door that you should take in room 18, which has the bass clef.
Wait, there's only one exit to this room, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's another reason to think that the room is doing something different. And there's that blank sheet of paper, which is also to be seen in the bass clef door in 18. Just a blank sheet of paper hanging on the wall.
Hang on.
I'm not gonna be able to remember all the things. There's a lot of 3 things in here, and the door you should take in the next room is door 3. The stick man, the idea is that he looks like a matchstick man, which is what the man in room 3 looks like, which is beside the right door. I don't know. There's enough stuff that makes me think that's reasonable.
Maybe you and I use the word reasonable differently.
Okay.
Like,
okay, so does that look like a bass clef to you? Does that look like actually a pretty deliberately drawn bass clef?
Yeah, but I don't see a reason to link it to another room.
Well, why else would he draw it like a bass clef unless it's supposed to relate to the other bass clef in the maze?
Well, because this room says basement in it, maybe it's related to that.
Sorry, which room has the bass clef in it? What's
18.
the room number?
18.
18. No.
Okay, Lewis says no.
I mean,
Plus, you have to admit that room 18 does have a bass clef in it.
yeah, I agree that room 18 has a bass clef.
Lost again. Every argument tonight, you're on the losing side of it.
I know.
It's like an atheist in a room full of fundamentalists.
I know. I mean, except Vincent agrees with me.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just not arguing as much as usual.
But, okay, so you think that room 35 tells you what door to take in room 18?
In other rooms along the loop, not just room 18.
But, I mean, you think the bass clef, the couch, tells you what room to take?
So, yeah, there's only one other room that has a little bass clef in it. That's pretty clearly to me a bass clef. There's also that just blank sheet of poster hanging down. And if you look in the doorway in room 18,
yeah,
there's that blank sheet of paper sort of partially obscured, hidden in that little hallway there from room 13.
Where's the other bowling pin? That's in room 8?
Yeah.
So does the bowling pin in this room tell you what to do with the bowling pin in the other room?
No, but that's not how that room works.
Okay. Does this room have a key to every room on the loop?
I don't know. We haven't found one. But so what rooms do you go through? So you go to 33, then you go to 3, then you go to what? 18?
18, 13, 25, 34, 10.
The
Where you
one
want-
guy without the book or like access to a screen. Rhymes it all. Yeah. So it has clues to take door 3. It has clues to then take door 13 and 18. And then I don't think it has anything for 13. It had something debatable for 25 that no one would like, but
Sorry, you say that as though we like the stuff for the other room.
well, I do. So I'm
That's
like
where
one
the solution
person.
starts to fall apart.
I'm
Is
one
at room
person who
25.
likes it. I do like the stick man in 3. That's pretty reasonable.
But it doesn't look like it.
Well, it kind of does.
I thought
In
it was
what
supposed to
room?
be the matches in 35 were supposed to be suggestive of Matchstick Man, not that
Yeah.
the in 35 look like
Right.
that guy.
Right.
Sorry, this is in room 3?
Room 3.
Yeah. Apparently, stick figures are called Matchstick Men
I don't think that's true.
in some country. Or
There's a whole thing. I Googled this. There is like a thing that's matchstick men that look like that.
There's a movie called Matchstick Men.
There is. It's true.
wasn't out
That
before
movie came out after
1985,
1984, though.
What?
I'm pretty sure Matchstick Men came out after 1984, so it's not admissible.
It is not related.
It was obviously based on Room 3.
That's right. So
Hang on, I'm going to Google.
And 35.
he was a Maze fan. Okay, but I guess my thing is like this. We don't have a better explanation for the stuff in here. I'm
See,
not saying I'm
that's
not going
the
to keep
weakest shit.
looking.
That is the weakest shit. Well, we don't have a better one. Like that that says virtually nothing about the quality of your solution. We don't have a good solution for 95% of the maze. It doesn't mean whatever we can make up is the best.
Okay, that's true. It's not. But I think it's a reasonable explanation for what's happening in this room.
It doesn't seem dumb. Like, well, I mean, I think it almost dignifies the solution too much to even argue against it. But like there's a couch in 35, and there's a
Yeah.
couch in 34.
Mm-hmm.
But the couch is not like near the correct door or indicating the correct door or anything in there. So is it just things along the path?
Well, the two ducks, the toy ducks don't relate to each other at all. As far as we know.
There's the suit on the wall, but what that brings to mind, I think, for just about everybody is the guy in the suit walking through the door in 34 going to 25, which seems to suggest the wrong direction. I mean, I feel like it's one of those cases where if this is what he's trying to do, he seems to deliberately have done it in a way that means that no one would have any confidence that that's what he's doing.
Well, but maybe that's what he was doing. He didn't want it to. He wanted to be hard, and I think in his mind, hard meant ambiguous a lot of the time.
Yeah, but I don't think that's apparent with stuff like F-Hour Tree. He was able to make good puzzles.
Sure, but that doesn't mean that that's the only thing that he was doing.
Well, he did it in a bunch of cases. I don't know about all of them, but he did a bit of. Anyway, I'm getting tired.
So I am of the opinion that the dude in the middle here in 35 is a railway signal.
Okay.
I just remember there being some dispute about whether that was the case.
There's no dispute. Gentile said it.
Oh, did Gentile say it?
Yeah. You'd be hard pressed to find a word in opposition.
No, wait, sorry. Maybe that wasn't what I said. Maybe I said it was
Oh, he's changing his tune now.
No, yeah. Anytime somebody tells me I was agreeing with Gentile, good sign I A, didn't do that, and B, no, I remember I had a long thing where I was trying to find like the Yosemite Sam cartoon where the train went past this thing and it has the mailbag hanging from it.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that before. That it looks like one of those mailbags.
Yeah.
So where does that get you?
It doesn't.
Oh,
Okay, this is what I think you're confused about with my approach.
okay.
I don't have the destination in mind when I make
Okay.
observations.
All right. Okay. I get it.
You cannot always have the destination in mind. Otherwise, you're just going to invent patterns and be like, oh, I see bass clefs everywhere.
That is what you sound like, Sarah.
And then I just see bass clefs everywhere. That's
No, I meant specifically that voice he was doing.
oh, no wonder Kontiki prefers the original cast.
Who's the original cast?
I don't know. Vincent, Alex, Greg.
Beals?
Wait, am I in the original
Beals,
cast?
of course, Beals.
No, because you didn't show up on a Mazecast until room 29. You were
Okay.
just on that suggest cast, Mazecast thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, there were like 2 episodes about it.
Yeah. But still, it was not an official Mazecast.
True. But maybe he's like hardcore hipster and he's like, that's the original.
Could be. He did mention suggest cast. I think he's watched all of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Has he read our later endeavors?
No one's read those yet, right?
No.
No, that's a...
Anyway. Yeah. What were we just talking about? Okay. So I understand your approach, Lewis. I do. I understand what you're doing. I agree that, like, I actually don't know how Owen Hammer got F-Hour Tree. Obviously,
he looked at it and he thought, what
What
you
is
describe
this?
that tree as? How
Right.
could you talk about that tree?
Right.
And he thought, oh, it's got the hour hand pointing to an F. F-hour tree. What anagrams could I make?
Right.
Well, we don't really know whether he did it that way or whether he was looking at anagrams for 3-4 or...
Yeah.
We don't know what his process was. Maybe
That's true.
Maybe he didn't even know how it came to him. Maybe it just came to him.
Yeah.
Let me say this about room 35. I don't think it's an unreasonable approach, given that it only has the one exit, so presumably what's going on there is not telling you about where to go.
Mm-hmm.
It seems reasonable that it's giving you messages about what to do somewhere else. And, I mean, I've had the same hypothesis. Maybe this is giving you information about other rooms along the path. But you have to make a lot of weird things. You have to try to fit a lot of weird things. And it seems like you could probably do that with any path you wanted to trace out if you're willing to look at things and say, like, there are a lot of 3 things here. Or actually what I think was supposed to be going on for 3 was those hooks are flipped back and forth, kind of like things are flipped in room 3.
That was one of the things, yeah.
And when you've got, like, some rooms along the path that don't seem to be clued at all, others that are clued questionably, others, I mean, it more resembles what you would expect to happen by chance than something that was done deliberately. But I don't think it's a bad idea. It's maybe even worth continuing to think about. But my phone's almost dead. Maybe that should be the natural stopping point whenever my
That
phone
might be.
dies.
Anyway, here's what's going to be my final word on this for right now. And here's the thing. Like, I think part of the brainstorming process is, like, you need to look at rooms and just, like, think to yourself synonyms for the objects that you're seeing, or, like, other ways of describing them.
Mm-hmm.
Until you get, like, things that click in weird ways and, like, might be other ways of thinking about what's in the room. or like basically just like brainstorming that's not directed at like how can I get a thing that'll lead me to room 33, but like brainstorming in a way that's like, what are other ways I could think about the things in this room where they could be clues in a puzzle? And then see where the puzzle takes you rather than trying to build a puzzle to take you to a specific place.
Well, sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think a lot of us have probably tried a lot of that without much success. But I mean, maybe that's the point, that it's going to take a lot of work before we get anywhere. You know, what's funny is that when I first started the Abyss, White Raven sent me a little message, which I'm sure he does to everybody, and he said, he said you should focus your energy on looking for puzzles, not solutions, which is basically exactly what you just said.
But that's like the opposite of what. Well, it's not exactly the opposite of what White Raven does, but it's more like he looks for an interesting observation of the sort that Lewis is saying we should look for, but then he kind of skips the middle step of figuring out how that actually relates to a door and just makes something up.
But don't you feel like, I mean, he is the person among all of us who has had the most contact with the actual author. Like, don't you think he might have gotten some idea about what the author was trying to do?
I don't know. Gentile had more contact with Manson than we did.
Wow.
You may have had more contact with Manson than White Raven did, as far as we know.
Mm.
You know, White Raven thinks that sign plus bowling pin equals 12.
Yeah.
How could it not?
Which, I mean, this is not an all or nothing thing. It's not
No.
like either he knows everything that's going on or he knows nothing, but I just don't feel like I can have any confidence in anything based on his authority or even on his claims of Manson's confirmation, because his confirmations, when examined, are always so weird. Like, it never seems like I asked Manson whether all these elements are correct, and he said, yes, that's it.
Right.
It's like we started to have a conversation about the symbolism in the Cask of Amontillado and about how that held true even in room 39. Well,
and he said it was more or less right.
That's a conversation you can have regardless of whether or not that's the intended puzzle in 39. You know, I sent him 3 pictures and he said that was pretty much it. That's why? Why, if you explain the solution, why do you need to send the pictures? And if you send the pictures and he says that's pretty much it, and then your explanation for what those pictures mean is batshit crazy, it seems more like you scammed Manson into admitting that there was a puzzle in there somewhere than that you actually solved it. I mean, it's like in room 17 when I said, I just wrote on the Abyss, like, all the doors have arrows pointing away from them. But I had no clue where there were supposed to be arrows pointing away from them. I just thought it seemed like something that White Raven would see in there. And then he said, yeah, here are the arrows. You know, you could easily imagine that he and Manson are seeing different things. That White Raven has hit upon an actual connection, right? So he looks at the title page and he found the word sly, and 43 has the word sly in it. Like, that's a reasonable connection to draw.
Sure.
Then some pictures to Manson, and Manson's like, yeah, you pretty much solved it. But we have no clue what is missing from the explanation or that puzzle. So in the end, I feel like we're left with only what we can determine to be reasonable for ourselves anyway. Like, something unreasonable, completely unreasonable that he says was confirmed, there always seems to be an element to the confirmation that, well, maybe he was confirming something other than that really wacky aspect that seems impossible that he was confirming.
Did he confirm some of Gentile's clues too, just to get him off his back?
I don't think so.
Gentile sometimes described what Manson had said as confirmation, but whenever he relayed the actual content, it made it sound like he had just misunderstood.
That's true. And that's,
Gentile?
yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
Those are some of my favorites where Gentile's like, he encouraged me in this line of thinking, and then like he pastes the text, and the text is like, that is completely wrong.
Oh dear. Well, anyway. I don't know. I mean, I think dismissing all the guide stuff as batshit crazy is a little extreme.
Well, I mean,
It's not crazy.
it's hard to say. I mean, there's stuff we know. Like if you were looking at the path back without any contest information or anything, and you said, "Hey, I think the word shoulders is spelled out here," that would seem batshit crazy.
Right.
Like so I agree. There could be something ridiculous and stupid in there. But again, it's like it would be an extraordinary coincidence if you just made up something ridiculous and stupid, and it was the ridiculous and stupid thing he was making up. And even so, if you had these letters that you thought spelled shoulders, the problem is you found a small piece of a larger puzzle. So, I mean, I'm suggesting Sly on the title page, Sly in 43. Manson says you pretty much solved it. We don't know exactly what that means, but like, okay, that's a reasonable connection to draw. But what exactly is the puzzle that's telling us this has something to do with the guide? And that hasn't been identified. You know, is it that the face is the face of the guide, or that there's this bully you're supposed to draw in there? I don't know. Like he's found something, but sort of skipped the step where something about it tells you something.
Yeah, I also think the point you're making about shoulders, I think is really important for why I don't want you guys to always be like, and how does that get you to a door, or what does that get you? Like, because if there are larger, less self-contained puzzles, then it might be that you find individual pieces of them in different places, and like they are not individually apparent what they're supposed to be doing, right? So like shoulders is in there allegedly. I mean, that's confirmed, but like
That is confirmed.
Yeah, I don't mean allegedly in the sense of like we're not sure it's really in there. I just mean like I agree with Vince that if somebody didn't have the confirmation and they were like, oh, it spells out shoulders, and you didn't have any of the context or anything, you'd just be like, no, you're making that up. That's, I mean, like there's some letters from the word shoulders are in there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But like without the question that's spelled out, and then the answer, like without all the stuff that makes it make sense, like the ability to find the letter U in a room doesn't do anything for you.
It's not even in order, which is what you'd think like a reasonable puzzle maker would have done to make it a little clearer, right? To have shoulders in order would have been helpful.
Yeah,
I mean, what I'm saying, like, there's lots
unless he was giving you the letters in a totally rock solid manner where there was just no doubt that which letters you're getting, and then you have to rearrange them.
Right.
But when you've got stuff like you have to get the letter H from repeated H objects, but you're not supposed to get the letter T from repeated T objects in 39 or in 20.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just completely unfair.
Yeah.
Almost as unfair as the puzzles in a book by Jack Masters called Ida Fusikon. Right? Is that how we're supposed to promote that book?
Promote the book. The book less fair than Maze.
Sign me up.
It's better than Maze and no pictures. That's not true. It has some pictures.
That's not true. It has pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh,
Worse pictures.
Yeah, I guess on balance, worse pictures.
Oh yeah, come on. I mean, that's not to say they're bad, but they can't compare to Maze.
Sarah was describing the Face N43 or whatever as really shitty.
That's true.
but
She's got some kind of problem with Manson's artwork.
oh, there's a reason it's crappy. It's because it's really a bowl.
I bet that
I
makes
mean,
me feel better. If you're saying there's a reason his artwork is crappy, and the reason is something
Also-
pulling it up.
also, it's not really a bull, so I don't. I mean, I think it's just crappy for no reason on your view.
Oh my god. I hope he never watches these videos.
I mean, trust me, he doesn't watch this. Otherwise, he would probably feel compelled to explain to us how fucking stupid we are.
We're the worst fan group ever.
Oh yeah, are we a fan group? I thought this was like how I like frustratedly watch the Gilmore Girls. Like I like elements of it, but I also want to yell at everyone.
Oh, well, you can label it whatever you want. I think we're going to be viewed as a fan group when we sit here and talk about Maze for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. In the dead of
All right,
night.
I'm signing off. I gotta go to bed.
Okay. All right, we can call it a night.
This is actually being the longest Mazecast to date.
Oh my god. Really?
Well, as far as I could tell, yeah.
With probably the least said.
Yeah, but we're sort of breaking the existential boundaries of it and discovering it for what it really is.
Okay, so somebody say something clever.
My dog's on screen.
Good one.
We've been
We should
made.
call him Cerberus.
Good night.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a her, and her name is Scully.
No, you couldn't have a female Cerberus.
Good night, everybody.